I heard a cool saying recently. It was just instead of being judgmental, try being curious. So just really simple. Like instead of thinking Steve's a jerk, ask yourself why is Steve a jerk. Like, I don't know. I like to think that most people are doing their best, like we're living in pretty sensitive times. There's a lot going on out there. We've got climate change ticking away in the background, cost of living crisis, of course. Worst of all, Sam Kerr's engaged. We've all got a lot on our plate. And when we're under a lot of pressure, I think that's when we're most likely to make mistakes, right? And I like to think that every now and then when I make a mistake, sort of every 12 to 15 years when I make a mistake, the people will take a look at it and go, nah, she's all right, she's doing her best. She's made a little error. About 8 months ago, I made probably the biggest mistake that I've made since using a cigarette lighter to see if a camping gas canister was turned off. It was, in case it's unclear that I still have a head. Massive mistake I made about 8 months ago was I agreed to MC a performance for a concert band. It sounds pretty low-key, right? Well, the plot's about to thicken. I'm going to fill you in on what happened. First of all, I'm going to tell you what a concert band is, because when I agreed to MC this performance, I didn't know what one was. Rookie error number one. A concert band is an orchestra with no strings. As in no string section, not no strings attached. They will still want a text message the following day. So something you might know about stand-up comedians is that not all of us, but a lot of us MC a lot of events, right? And me in particular, MC everything. Opening of an envelope, I'll MC it, no problem. In fact, they're probably my favourite gigs. And so when somebody contacted me and was like, are you interested in MCing this? I was like, of course. What could possibly go wrong? Now, the thing about comedians when we're MCing events is it's our job to fill in all of the pauses, silences and gaps. Now, when I agreed to MC this performance, I didn't know that concert bands were famous for their pauses, silences and gaps. I had no idea. So I've rocked up on the day and they've given me a run sheet and they're taking me through it. And they're like, okay, just announce the whole concert and then there'll be 4 songs. You go away. Come back announce them, and then there'll be 4 songs. Go away. Come back, just this for the rest of my life. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, is someone going to tell them that you don't have to show everyone that you know every song? Like, you can just choose some. Wasn't my place to say it. So I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. So I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, I'm an untrained professional. I've got this under control. So I come out on the day, right, and there's hundreds of people at this event as well. On a Sunday afternoon, I had no idea there was this amount of demand for a concert band performance on a Sunday afternoon. No shade on them, good on them. For example, they would not be able to accommodate their audience in this venue right here. They are doing quite well. So there's hundreds of people. I come out, right, and I do a little introduction about myself and whatever. I do a couple of jokes to test the waters. The waters were frigid. All these several hundred people were seeing was a barrier between them and their beloved concert band. So I was like, okay, this will be good. Like, easy. I don't have to do any jokes or anything. I don't have to bring any charisma to the party. They've all made up their mind. So I announce it all, and then off I go. Right, off to the side I go, over here, as was mandated. First song, Fires Up. I should also point out, there are about 12 to 15,000 people in the band. Like, I didn't know there were that many instruments on the planet, but they were all up there on the stage. I was like, this stage is going to collapse under the weight of all the tubers, but it didn't. So I'm over here, off to the side. First song goes up, and I'm like, all right, it's not my jam, but good on them. And then after a few minutes, it starts to wind down, and this is when I realised that I haven't been given any indication of how long any of these songs are going for. But I'm like, that's okay, because until I'd agreed to host this event, I'd always prided myself on my ability to know when a song had drawn to a close. So I'm like, all right, 1 song down. Second song fires up. I'm like, okay, suspiciously similar to the first song. None of my business. Third song fires up. Then the fourth one, and I'm like, all right, okay. As the fourth one's winding down, I'm like, this will be fine. All I've got to do is count the songs. It's going to be all under control. Song winds down, and I'm like, all right, now's my time to shine. out I come, right? Massive stage, much bigger than this one, all the way out into the middle. Big MC face. And I go, wow, wasn't that incredible? And just as I say that... Sorry. I make my way back to the side of the stage and I'm horrified. I'm like, oh no. I was certain that song was over, right? But then I'm like, I've got no point of reference, right? I'm suddenly dripping in sweat as well. It's like the middle of winter. We're in this massive hall, right? It's freezing cold, and I'm suddenly sweat, like my hair's plastered down. I'm like fanning myself. I'm like, oh no. Flicking wildly through this run sheet, like trying to find any kind of hints or whatever. There's none in there. And I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a long day. And then this song finally winds down and I'm so nervous. I can't believe it. Like, I'm just over here and I'm like, oh. And I wait a few seconds and I'm kind of peeking around. Like, I'm trying to see if there might be an ally in the audience that might want to word me up on whether or not now's the right time to go out. No one. They hate me unanimously. And so I'm like, oh. I wait a few more seconds. And I wait a few more seconds until the audience starts to think I've had a medical event. And then I wait a few more seconds until I start to think that I've had a medical event. And then eventually I make my way back out at like 65% height, 25% confidence. I come out and I'm like looking at people like I'm like, surely someone sees the humour. No one. Not one. And I'm giving them like, me again, eyes. Oh, look who it is. Like, and then I'm like, whoa, all right, let's make some noise. And just as I say that, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding. I'm like, this is a stitch up. I'm mortified. I'm so sorry, everyone. Just making my way back across. Bright red, just revert, just beep, beep, just like an embarrassed truck. My soul had left my body. I was hovering above it. I was just like, oh no. And then this song just kept going up and down like false. So I'm over in the wings then, and I'm sort of doing this awkward salsa. I'm like, oh, is it now? No, we're like 15 minutes into this concert and I've done my 10,000 steps. I'm at serious risk of doing my ACL. Like, eventually the song winds down and I'm like, okay. Just completely, just dragging my feet by this stage, just, oh no. And I get back out into the middle and I'm like, oh, wasn't that so good? And this is finally the correct time, you'll be relieved to know. So everyone's like, yeah, it's good, yeah, all right, she's done it. And I felt like relief. Like I'd never felt before in my life. I couldn't believe it. But then I realised that I had 5 more blocks of 4 songs to get through until interval. Not even until the end of the concert. And I was like, oh no. So what ensued is I came out at the wrong time 5 more times. That is 7 times in total, which is 7 times too many. I hit a point around the sort of 5th mark where I'd come out and I could just pick any random person in the audience and I could look into their eyes and I'd see straight through their eyes into their brain and I could see them going, no, Kirsty. And I'd just start leaving again. But on the 7th time, I knew it was different. There was this strange draft suddenly blowing through the theatre. There was this tension like I've never felt before in my entire life. And it's the first time that I thought to myself, I've got to turn around and see what's happening behind me. And I did, right? I turned around like this. And I turned around just in time to see the conductor absolutely lose her mind. Now, I'd always fancied myself as being the kind of person who would make it all the way through life, well into old age, having never fallen out with a conductor. Like, it just wasn't on my radar. I was fairly confident conductors and I would remain cool, like the whole way through, but no, okay? So I've turned around just in time to see the conductor swing around and wave her wand at me. And I'm frozen. And I've got this, 3-second period where I'm standing there and I'm like, am I frozen in terror? Or has she cast a spell? Just frantically wiggling my toes, and I'm like, oh no, I think it's just me. What a relief, it's just my nervous system shutting down. And then she says this, she goes, well, it looks like you and I need to have a little chat in the interval. Just in front of hundreds of people who unanimously did not enjoy my company. And I was like, if there's one thing I won't tolerate in an interval, it's a little chat. But big year 8 science vibes for me. I reckon that's the last time somebody spoke to me like that. And I can remember it really clearly, actually. I reckon it was about 4 days into semester 2. And our teacher, Mrs. Johnson, she was fed up. Now, in my opinion, that's too early in term 2. You know, must have been something else going on. But what happened is I had just run my wooden ruler through the Bunsen burner. And which I still maintain to this very day was an experiment, and that's what we were there for. And Mrs. Johnson said, well, Kirsty Webeck, it looks like you and I at recess need to have a little chat. But on that occasion, I was like, yes, she's right. I was like, someone's got to rein me in. I've got a terrible attitude. But on this occasion, I was like an adult trying to do my best, fighting for my life in this concert band performance. For her to be like, we need to have a little chat, I was like, no. I was like, we're going to deal with this like adults. And then that's when I realised I had the power. Because I was like, I'm going to be announcing the interval, aren't I? So I was like, I'm going to have a head start. So what I did was I crept to the edge, like as close as I could get to the edge, and I announced the interval, and then I ran. I ran right around the hall. I found a curtain up the back and I hid. Because I was like, we can't have a little chat in interval if she can't find me. And then I waited for somebody from the band to wander past, and I was like, Hayley, over here. And she was like, what are you doing down there, Kirsty? And I was like, shh, get down. Made an army roll under the curtain. And I was like, Hayley, I need your help. I don't want to do the second half of this concert. I'm going to go home. You see what I mean? Handling it like adults. I want to go home. I go, we need to come up with an excuse. And Hayley goes, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to know why you left. So she was in the horn section and she goes, how about when we're coming up to the end of a song, the horn section, give you a nod. And I was like, perfect. So I was saved by the horn, which was wonderful. And then what happened is the concert wrapped up sort of 12 to 13 hours later. And I mean, I assume. There's actually no way of knowing. It could still be going right now. And then what I did, I've never done this at all in my professional life, not once before. I left like a pile of my own personal effects and like the run sheet, the clipboard, my own personal private pen. I don't know why that's important, but I need you to know I owned it. And just a few things like this. And later on, when I was on the couch, I was enjoying imagining audience members walking past this little pile of my stuff and just being like, did the conductor finally get her? Just